Hello everyone. So day 40. I'm going to count yesterday because it was such a big deal for me. First thing I did, we'll get on to you, shush. First thing I did was got up on the roof again, got the flashing off on this section, and inspected this area. And honestly, the whole thing is so tight, it feels sealed up. I was really confused and concerned as to how water could even be anywhere. There was, however, 4 very small points where there might have been moisture getting in here. And the only thing I could think was maybe some got in on the creases around here. This is where it was dripping, as a reminder. And the only thing I could think of was maybe that the flashing was holding water against it and it was coming up and in. God damn, I got some of that sealant on me. Water coming up and in and going backwards, and capillary action coming up here and dripping in. So I got up there, I've re-siliconed everything, filled as best I could those little holes, and put some sealant up the joint where I could, and in the screw hole for this screw, which obviously this one is not fully holding anything down. It's been cut off. It's just for the flashing. Yeah, so with that in mind, hopefully that will seal that up a bit. I also put more sealant around here, obviously on the other side, just to help dam that up and make sure nothing's coming through. You can see there's actually a bigger gap there than there is here. This one's so tightly sealed. I'm really confused. There's no way water's getting up and under it, because I was going to try and get some butyl tape on there, just to create a really strong seal, but the metal is such that it's compressed against each other. So yeah, we'll see if that makes a difference and fixes it. And then the door seal, I realised that I am going to need drainage holes through here somewhere. I'm not sure where. I might have to make a very shallow diagonal angle and try and miss the thermal break of the sill, and go out through that way, to try and get into the sill so it can drip out through the sill. The sill is hollow, and has drainage holes that I drilled through for water to drip out for that purpose. So there's that, and then I think the water was getting into the building, where I had a tiny puddle there, just through this gap here. In the corner there is actually a it's very messy and hard to see. There is actually a very small gap there that I did pump full of silicone before I put the door in, which I think just got dislodged when I took it out. And then the next thing I did was start to seal all the way around there, and then the sealant ran out. So that's another thing I'll do, probably just grab on during the week and just chuck some down when I can. I'm not too worried about the door leaking at the minute, just because it's just one of those things, right? Like, I mean, it needs sorting. It's not super urgent. The structure's still got a long time to dry out, and I will get to that. So, just to pick myself back up, and not feel too silly about it, yeah, I thought I'd get onto some insulation. So, we got some. This is the product of one board. Believe I have, well, let's see, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 still, so it must be 6 in a pack. So I've got 12 boards. One board did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, plus just bits and bobs, you know, just some of the offcuts that happen to fit other places. So that's done 7. So 8. Oh, well, let's count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. So 22, so that's 3 more boards just to do the bottom. If it's the same for the top, you know, it's probably not going to use even half of what I've got left, but it will use over half of what I've got left, but I'd rather have too much, and these bits are a little bit longer than this. This is exactly 1 meter high. As you can see, I measured it perfectly on these. These are all 1 meter high. These I was a little bit off because I went by the guides on the thing, and as it turns out, it was correct on one side of the installation and wrong on the other. So if you are going to use those guides, beware that sometimes they don't start their foil backing. This is not a gap. That is actually just cardboard. The card backing to the foil. So sometimes they don't quite put it right on the edge of their board, which is super frustrating. Because, you know, I'm losing a little bit of reflectiveness, and that sizing wasn't quite right when I cut the board. So just beware of that. So there's your top tip for the day. I've also run out of expanding foam. Whilst these look super gnarly, like there's loads of foam in there really isn't. That is for gaps like this, where it's just very, very little. This here is not standard. That's just where I've quickly whipped out something for this tiny little gap. That's all going to get foamed anyway. Yeah, so, you know, that's more typical. You're not going to have very huge gaps, and most of this, actually, there wasn't really big gaps. Yeah, you can see here I've bothered to put a tiny bit in, but mostly they're perfect. It's quite easy to measure, so I just measure the exact amount in millimeters. I add 2 millimeters, cut it, and then it's forced in. I'm just boshing it with a wooden block and the mallet, the lump hammer, and then the reason I've done the insulation first and then the noggins is so that I know that the noggin is tight down onto that, and it makes measuring these a little bit easier and getting them in a bit easier, and that way the top half is the only half that's like really got to be measured perfect and on all 4 sides, you know. So that gives me some leeway, it gives me some relaxation, and just hopefully makes it all a bit quicker. So that's where we're at. I just came straight out today and got started while the family slept. They're up now, so I am going to have some breakfast. Cheers. Oh, chuck us a like, chuck us a subscribe. If you've got any thoughts on how the leak on the roof may have happened, I'd really like to know. If you've worked with these panels before, that'd be super helpful to know. Before I go doing anything drastic, like pulling the whole roof off and starting again. Yeah. Cheers for watching. Catch you later on.